boys, here we go, P.M.P. And yeah, I had Celtic down to win tonight. I was convinced we would get a storming 1-0 win. I think is what I thought we might get tonight. It turns out it wasn't 7-0, it was 7-1. I'm terrible at doing the scores. Where's Phil when you need him? It was 7-1. Forgot that they got a goal. Terrible at that, man. Terrible at that. But anyway, Terry Robb back on the P.M.P. Thanks for doing it. Obviously, the most recent one with Phil. Thanks for putting in your best P.M.P. for performance of the season, mate, as well. Cheers for that, mate, when I wasn't on. Appreciate it, Terry.
You're only as good as your weakest.
Totally fair. I take that as totally gospel, mate, and I appreciate your honesty. On the bus, 7-1, 6-0 at half-time. We've had a lot of games at two halves. If this was a game of two halves, give me this type every single week, Terry. This is what it's all about. We'll do all that good stuff very quickly. Give us a like, give us a share, hit the thumbs up, hit the thumbs down, slag hair, all that stuff. Bhoycie Bus memberships, piesports.com, 12.5% off, Bus 1888 is the code. But yeah, let's get to it. You've only given me half an hour tonight, Terry. And as the goals are flowing in, I thought, I don't know. The guys put me under all sorts of pressure here. I don't actually think we're going to have time to get goals. It was a display that sets the tone. Now, first and foremost, before we go into the game, I know what we said off air. We were like that, it would have been, even better had there been that Kilmarnock sort of holding on to their result at Rugby Park. Obviously, that got overturned, but the only cards we can really play is our own. And tonight we played a hell of a card because that is basically a sign to me from Celtic that this title race is still very much in our own hands. And be careful what you wish for if you think that, Brendan should be out and all this sort of stuff. I include myself in that. But I do think tonight was a real statement win. And again, performances this season have been unexpected. I expected a massive reaction at the weekend, and that first half was the complete opposite. I didn't have the confidence. If you watch the Monday Club, I didn't have the faith that we would go into tonight and put out a performance. But I'll leave it to you, Terry, because you had a brilliant sort of analogy on where the performance came from tonight. But yeah, absolutely buzzing, mate.
I think it was just a continuation of the second half on Sunday. And the three goals that we got on Sunday were because we put quality crosses into the box. And most of those goals we got tonight, three goals on Sunday, you had the cross from Taylor for one, cross from Alistair Johnson for the other, cross from Yang for the other one. And yep. I need to just check my notes because we had so many goals tonight. But Martin Vickers was a cross from O'Reilly. Ida was a cross from Johnson. O'Reilly's header was a cross from Taylor. Taylor's was from a Johnson cross, albeit was deflected. Then McGregor scores from a Yang cross, and the last goal was also from a Yang cross. So there were crosses going in high, there were crosses going in along the ground. The balls was just getting fired into the box, but I think
they're getting played earlier, Terry.
Yes,
that's what I think. The crosses seem to be earlier. That's what the key point with the crossing is for me. It just seems to be less hesitancy, more of a direct sort of ball into the box. That's what's benefiting us with these cross balls as well.
Yeah, and I think there's probably more confidence in playing those balls when you've got Ida in the middle because of the physical presence it gives you. Now, it's not him getting on the end of them all, but I think it's no coincidence that we're getting the ball into the box a lot earlier when he's been on the pitch tonight and also in the second half on Sunday. I was glad that we were able to keep the momentum going from that second half on Sunday, because what this season has taught us is not to expect anything at all. And I think if we turned in another poor home performance off the back of that second half at the weekend, it wouldn't have shocked you, me, any of the people in the stand or anything. But that first half shown tonight was superb, easily the best performance so far of the season. You could hear the reaction of the crowd, halftime and full time, and I think what that first half really epitomised is why we've been so frustrated as a supporter base this season.
Sure.
Because that's the type of performance that group of players are capable of turning in. And for whatever reason, it's taken until the last week of February for us to get that performance that should have been. We should have had it far more than what we've had.
You say for whatever reason, and it's interesting because you could argue there has been one in the last few days. And Jonathan on the Monday Club alluded to it. He was saying this might work for Brendan. Suddenly, all the heat is taken off the players. So I don't think I've liked the challenge that's been placed for them, playing for a different manager, a different setup, a different style. And a lot of them haven't risen to the challenge of that. Whether they've enjoyed the tactics or not, I still think fundamentally a lot of them could have done better this season. I include the manager could have done better as well. But once the narrative has, for whatever way, shifted on to Brendan, and he talks about, you're going to write a story, we're going to try and write our own. And instantly after that, the story does start getting written about and being misogyny and all this nonsense. I think suddenly when it's about Brendan, it's funny how it's took the heat off the team. They're now all the focus is on the manager. Is he going to apologise? All this bollocks, and we see a team that was just all the shackles are off, and they suddenly delivered a performance to be completely. I don't know. I thought they blew Dundee away, to be perfectly honest with you, in that first half, and I don't really think it mattered who we were up against in the league. You put in a display like that, and you are going to cause everyone an absolute, the worst case scenario in this league. It's just interesting that once the story becomes about our manager with an ego, there is no two ways. He seems to, it just seems to work for him. Let's get to it. You did a brilliant thought when it was a point you made about Cameron Carter-Vickers coming on at the weekend. You felt that was the real momentum shift in Celtic's display. I thought, fucking hell, he's right. I can't believe I'm agreeing with this guy when I'm not on air with him, but I completely agreed with you. And he gets that first goal, Terry, tonight through a total desire, showing his strength. There was just something about it. You thought, bit of leadership there. There was just to be a bit of authority in that header for Cameron Carter-Vickers. And again, when you talk about statements, it's like CCV, the fridge is back, and there's a goal, from across. And I don't know, it just seemed like another one of those. Your Cameron Carter-Vickers' return to the team has been signposted now in the first two games with big impacts. I thought his importance to the side when the momentum shifted at the weekend, and then the opening goal tonight. It's funny how stuff like that happens, eh?
Aye, we need to keep him fit, Bhoycie, for the remainder of this run, and I think that's crucial. He did have one wee slip tonight where he was a little bit off balance and didn't get a full enough contact on getting the ball back to Joe Hart. But take his goal aside, the bit that I think makes the difference with Carter-Vickers is when he's in possession, he takes a touch and then it's a forward pass. There's nowhere near as many sideways passes when he's playing, and certainly not from him. More often than not, he takes one touch, looks up, and he's getting the ball either out to Johnson or out to the winger, and they're forward passes. I think you could probably count on one hand the amount of times he passed the ball inside the scales or backward. And I don't know if you noticed as well, Joe Hart was playing very, very high up the pitch, and I think that must have been a purpose. Well, I think it must have been purposeful for Hart to be so far out, because I haven't noticed that in recent games, and maybe that's one way of not passing the ball back to Hart, is if he's not there in the goal to pass it all the way back. He was definitely out.
But there was more. Did you not think that the focal point, rather than being Hart, which I agree with, they've looked at too many times for this safe ball, it was Iwata instead, and that was the thing. He was always available for the ball. And that shows you. Phil made another point as well with you. He was saying about the Hartley-Robson effect, the unfashionable players playing in a title run-in. That came to my mind tonight as well with Iwata, and I thought, very different in terms of character and personality and all that sort of thing. But he isn't the fashionable one out that Celtic, sort of options that they've got in midfield. He's the least fashionable one, the least sexy midfielder, if you like. And I felt that whatever it is he brings, that stability, and if it could be completely miles off it, but if I'm right, that when they're looking for the safe option, it's a holding midfielder, like a bona fide holding midfielder, instead of your goalkeeper, That to me is progress. That's going to get you up the park quicker by default. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it begs the question again: is why is this guy being underutilized under Brendan and under the manager that signed him, Ange? I would say if he starts on Sunday, that might be his best run of games. I don't know. Somebody may be correct us on that, but he definitely hasn't had a proper run of matches, and it'll be interesting to see how much of a part he plays in the remainder of the season, because he hasn't really done anything different from any other time that he's been brought in. Anytime he's come in, he's been solid, he's been neat and tidy, and that's what his role is. But he seems to have come in, done that for a couple of games, then for whatever reason finds himself back out of the side again. So I think he's nailed on for the weekend. I don't see a lot of changes happening in terms of the starting lineup at the weekend. But it might just be that out of the large number of wingers and midfielders that we've got, that just somebody just plays their way into a bit of form. Hopefully we're seeing it now with Yang. Again, it's 1.5 games. He has been very, very inconsistent since he signed. But
has he been unexpectedly inconsistent though? Because see, at the end of the day, a 19-year-old winger signed. I think that up and down form is kind of what you expect. What we shouldn't have been expecting is to have to rely on him for title run-ins and things. But you're right, when you see a bit of confidence in him tonight, you thought, fucking hell, there's the real player there. But we're going to accept that that's not going to be the rest of these fixtures of the season. We're going to get that level of performance from him. He's too young to expect that of. Wingers, by nature, I think, are inconsistent as well. If we try and stay in the timeline of goals, Terry, talk to him about Ida's header. He looked like he had his back to it. Honestly, I know folk will get bored of this crap.
He's behind him.
Folk will get bored of this. Giacomakis scored one that was almost identical at one point in Celtic. I'm sure many of you watching mind casted back. I can't remember who it was against. He scored a similar one where by the time the ball's at the net and Giacomakis is landing on his feet, he's got his back to goal. That's what happened with Ida tonight. That's what we've been missing. Outstanding header. Again from an early cross.
It was a good header, cross from Johnson. I mean, Ida, up until that point, I don't know that he had very many touches of the ball. But as we've already touched on, he gives you that option of playing the ball in. I mean, Kyogo did score a header a couple of games ago, but he's not going to win duels where he's up against a centre half, and Ida looks as if he's going to win his fair share of those. But it's not just a case of firing the ball in. Alistair Johnson does definitely seem to be getting forward a lot more than he had been, and I think I've seen an interview that he did where he talked about the goals at the weekend, and he said whereas Greg Taylor's cross was from a much deeper position, his was from the byline, and he has really been working hard to try and get to the byline a lot more than he had been doing. And he was very
for work as well.
He was very subdued for the vast majority of this season as well.
Totally agree.
So it feels again small sample size, game and a half, but he looks to have found a new lease. Yang's come into a bit of form. Ida's in a rich vein of form. O'Reilly had dropped off. Hopefully he picks it up again. If Owata's in form, if we can then get Carter Vickers playing and get McGregor back to some kind of form, before you know it, you've then got a real solid spine of a team that are still very much in this title race. And you've said that it's in our own hands. Forget about that other result tonight. It's our results that have put us where we are. It's our own performances that have put us 2 points behind. But my thoughts on it are, I think we need to be pretty much perfect over these remaining 10 games. I think nine wins will probably get it done. We probably can afford a draw, depending where that draw is. If that draw was to happen at Ibrox, then all the better. But I think we're going to have to be pretty much perfect. And on the basis of what we've seen this season, we're going to need to be close to what we were in the first half tonight over those 10 games.
Well, that's the thing. all we can do is take it game by game. Brendan said that himself in the pre-match press. I thought his pre-match press yesterday looked like a man. I think that enjoys it when it gets to this sort of stage, when he's the focus. And he did say it's a cliche, but that's what we're going to do, take it game by game. I just didn't see this coming. I didn't see this coming either. So whilst we've had a lot of low points this season in terms of performance, or, you know, the term will kick on from here. Or this is us going to, we're going to push on from this performance. It's never really happened. That springboard hasn't really worked, Terry. But notwithstanding that, tonight we looked at one where we probably went in with what we thought our most realistic eyes, going, look, let's just muddle our way through this one. And there we go, boom. I think the narrative change has helped outside the performance. I really do. I believe in all that sort of stuff. I think there's momentum shifts that can happen that aren't just always what happens with the football. And I think that momentum shift, where if Brendan was looking for a siege mentality, it was gifted to him. And if he said, I dare say he didn't say good girl to try and stir it. I don't think anyone who could foresee that coming. I think that momentum shift has occurred once everyone's went, you bunch of bastards, you're actually looking for it. You're looking for something now. And that's the funniest thing about all that was, it was literally what he was alluding to before it happened. You have your own story already written. We're going to write our own. And they run away with this utter nonsense, getting on BBC News, all this bollocks, you know what I mean? And I think that works big time, because when you've got an experienced manager, he's happy to take the heat, especially when they've got the sort of ego Brendan does. He's probably quite like the limelight as well. Suddenly it's about him. The players are out of focus. And as I say, we've seen a free-flowing Celtic performance.
Say you're right, Bhoycie. Why has it taken that to ignite this side?
That's the million-dollar question. But I think we've explored those answers, Terry, all season. And I think we're not miles away from. I think there's been an Ange hangover. I don't think Brendan being a sole voice with a new set of, not even a new set of rules, just a different approach, different philosophy, but on his own, with the same guys now changing message behind him and the coaching staff, completely flipping what their message from what it was before, giving a new one. It's confusing. Do you know what I mean? I always think when a manager goes in, it's far better when it's the full backroom team. It's a whole mood shift then. And I think that's been a bit muddled. I think players need to take responsibility. And for whatever reason, I think whatever message Brendan's been trying to get across, he's not done it well enough. So he needs to take responsibility as well. But for tonight, he could take the credit. Matt O'Reilly gets a goal tonight as well. He's another one. Checked out was one of the terms people have used. I've never subscribed to that argument. I was just chuffed for him to get his form back. Oh, but just before we do that, look. Shady 219. I wonder esports. Not enough girls, lol. Shady, you're getting blocked. Good girl, son. There we go. Right, Terry, but Matt O'Reilly.
Yeah, the narrative seems to be that from the January window closed, we learned about the bid from Atletico Madrid, that somehow his head was turned. It may or may not be the case, boys. I think it's probably that he was performing at such a consistently high level that at some point during the course of a 9 or 10 month season, there was going to be some sort of drop off. If that goal had been in the night, the one that he hits the stanchion of the post and bar, what a goal that would have been.
Yeah.
But, tonight he was close to his best again. Bit of swagger about him. I think that when we were playing Ida and Kyogo both, I felt that was nullifying O'Reilly's threat, because Kyogo was possibly picking up positions that O'Reilly would naturally have drifted into. I kind of like him to be the closest player to the centre forward out of the midfielders. I think that's where he does most of his damage. The pass that he played for Maida's goal today was excellent. There was just so much disguise on it.
How much disguise was there from Maida's finish?
Okay,
I
it's
mean,
it's just as normal,
is he disguising
collected
as
finish.
I'm like, he's been disguising that ability a lot this season. That turn, you're going, this guy's gonna baffle me forevermore. I think Phil McGinley will be able to sort of do a new take on a Bustalgia of Maeda once a year going forward. I think we can do one. Was he the best striker to ever play for Celtic? And then do one going, how did this guy get a gig for us? Tonight, you look at that goal, the checking on the right foot, curled to the outside of the boot. Was it a forced celebration because he didn't do one the last time? He kind of did like the wee fake, like, woo. And I just thought, Maeda, you at times just must confuse even the opposition players with, oh, don't worry about it, it's Maeda. You know, you'll take a touch, you'll go out the park, or you'll balloon it, you know, you're out the stands. And then he does that tonight. You go, right foot onto the left, curls it into the corner. You're like, imagine if that was consistently what we got out of this guy. I always go back to that goal he scored at Easter Road, remember, in the black kit?
Yeah.
And he made an absolute mare of it about 2 minutes before. It just cuts him left, curls him for 25 yards, top bins. He is so up and down, man. But you got to enjoy the good points, Terry.
Look at the one he missed on Sunday, like from a yard out. It was easier to score, but
totally, mate.
I felt he was lucky to keep his place tonight. To be honest, I thought he was pretty poor at the weekend. I think he has been poor since he's come back from the Asian Cup. I sort of subscribed to the suggestion Jono had been putting forward on Monday night. Give Kyogo a go out on the left. Also, when I was chatting to Phil, I'd put a suggestion where ditch the wingers because none of them are delivering. Ditch the wingers. Get the likes of Bernardo, Wawata, McGregor, O'Reilly. Get all of those midfielders in. Take a real stranglehold on the middle of the pitch, and then get all of your width from Taylor and Johnson. I think given where we're at with Yang, we've got to play him until he plays himself out of form. The other side, I think, is up for grabs, and I wouldn't be adverse to giving Kyogo a run there. I think Palma, the last couple of games, has looked more dangerous coming on as a sub. Maeda's goal tonight probably will see him keep his place for the weekend, along with everything that he gives you from a defensive side, albeit that you want, as a winger for Celtic, you want to be focused on what he's giving you going forward.
But Terry, see on that, now you say that, but like Rodgers again, I mean, we know he obviously watches the bus just like Ange, because he said in his pre-match presser last night about his best 11, he says, people keep saying I don't know my best 11. He goes, it's never about the 11 that you pick. It's about the squad that you've used in the game. The 11 that finishes will always be different to the 11 that started. So it's how you get to the result, not knowing your best, not like you've got this default best 11 that's going to guarantee you wins.
Yeah.
And I took his point on that to an extent, and it wouldn't surprise me if there is the odd tweak, even if it were to be Yang, for example, just purely based on the fact it's at Tynecastle, not based on the fact that you've been pulled out on, on a drop-off in form. Clearly, I thought tonight was as good as I've ever seen him in a Celtic jersey. But it might not be a game that, styles make fights, and it might just be one of these games where you look at it and go, that might not suit him. He might get lost in that. He might be better to bring on as an impact sub, that type of thing. So it was interesting when Brendan was talking about that. I think we do get caught up in the best 11 scenario, but really in modern day football, it is a 15, 16 player match, each match, and it is going to have changes in it that will be dictated either by how the game's playing or initially, before the game begins, where it's at, who it's against, the type of opponent, the type of football they play. And it wouldn't surprise me if we see, not just because today's performance was brilliant to a man, we don't just necessarily have to go, well, can't make a case for changing it. I still think he will, because it is away against Hearts. Do you know what I mean?
So you think James Forrest could come in?
Do you know what? See, with this season, I'm predicting nothing ever again with this season. I'm predicting nothing against this season. When after Hoopy the Hound came good for you, I mean, I'm up for anything this season.
Here, do you not think? Do you remember the night Maeda got sent off? Not the one against Atletico. Didn't he get sent off another game? And you could see it coming a mile away. And I was sitting thinking tonight, he was still running about like a madman after getting booked, and you're winning 5-0, 6-0, whatever it was at the time, and he's still shutting guys down and flying into tackles, and you're thinking, what's going on here? But see Yang's performance, Bhoycie. I thought Yang, he got that guy into the book inside 5 minutes, and it's probably worth touching on that because I was kind of looking forward to seeing the potential future Celtic left back playing for Dundee tonight, and he went into the book in 5 minutes, and he couldn't touch Yang after that. And every time Yang got it, he ran at him. He was able to go on the inside. He was able to go on the outside. He reminded me a wee bit of sort of P.M.P in Ange season 1, where he just seemed to have an extra yard of pace on whoever he was playing against. They didn't know if he was going to the line. They didn't know if he was cutting back in again. And we've talked about Yang a few times, and no matter when things weren't coming off for him, he was always willing to get the ball and always willing to run it as man. And things just seemed to be clicking into place for him. And I kind of wonder, I think he needs to improve his numbers. It doesn't look like he's going to score very many. He is starting to get a few assists, but he just reminded me of the way Abada was playing, and it looks more and more as if we're not going to have Abada's influence at any point in the run in here.
I don't see him play for Celtic again.
It doesn't look as if
it's going
to happen. So I think, I know you've talked about horses for courses, but I think just the form that Yang's found, I think we just have to play him now and let him terrorize whoever he comes up against. I think he's going to be one of our main weapons for the next 10 games. And as you say, the chances are in those 10 games he's not going to play
peaks and troughs.
If we can get 3-4 out of them, then that might be enough. But we need some of these other wingers to play themselves into a bit of form as well. Palma's kind of played himself out of the side. Maida's completely hit and miss. Forrest is totally out of the picture. Kuhn's not good enough.
But you need the performances as well. You need results like tonight to back that, Terry. Do you know what I mean? And I think you've seen Palma come on, and the way he tries that audacious effort once he's came on tells me players also feed confidence from how the mood is in the stands, how the performance of the rest of your teammates have been as well. Wingers are always inconsistent, mate, and they always are confidence players. I don't know. I think tonight could be a catalyst for those guys in particular. Greg Taylor scored. Are we allowed to talk about that? Is the Punked Up Warlord watching? What a finish, mate. I mean, that creeper in late, opening the boot, side foot home, bottom corner. Brilliant goal.
Yeah, I think Taylor's been playing pretty much all right. I know Liam has his own views on it, but
do you think Liam looks at it though as going, if that's the level and we don't think we can do better, that's like his sort of example of where Celtic's at, sort of thing, which I could take that. But in terms of left backs, he's clearly Celtic's best by a country mile.
Some distance. And if we look at the performance from the guy we were linked with in January, he looks as if he's some distance ahead of him at the minute as well. I think I really want us to go and get a top-notch left back, and not someone who's going to challenge Taylor, someone who's going to just blow him out of the team because he's so much better. And I think we've wasted millions on players who might challenge him, but just go and get one who's better than him, and then there's no argument. But he's a more than adequate backup left back for Celtic.
Well, I agree with that. And I think that is the wider point that Liam's kind of alluding to. And then it's maybe just, anyway, it was a good goal. But we weren't done. We were 6-0 at half-time, mate. Now, that is ridiculous by particularly this season's standards. But like I've said tonight, I'm now giving up trying to even predict anything that's going to happen. Anything can happen this year. It's the least spectacular footballing Celtic side that we've seen, but the most bonkers nature of season, I think, so far. Even right back to Brendan getting reappointed, that was bonkers in itself when you look back at it. And since then, it's just been so up and down. It's been mad. But 6-0 at half time, when we don't think it's going to come. We go behind in the league. We put in the most dismal first half we could ever have dreamt of when we were 5 points behind in the league. We salvage it in injury time at the weekend, and you think, let's just beat Dundee. Let's muddle our way through it. Let's just hopefully win. 6-0 at half time. And it's, again, another player under, bit of criticism. At least copped a bit of wee bit on the social medias right now. Callum McGregor looks like he's going to shoot, doesn't shoot. And I thought, this is passing a bit. Oh, no, he scored. I thought they'd done the one or the too many passes, and then it was a brilliant finish by him. And you're just sitting there at that point going, well, this isn't a first half that I've slept through. This is, but it's so far removed, Terry, by this point, from what we've been discussing on P.M.P throughout this season. It was almost bizarre. You didn't know what to make of it. But I'm chuffed that McGregor got the goal and all that. And what's important with him, I suppose with CCV as well, is we were allowed on 57, 58 minutes to get these guys off. And protect them. I know Ida came off. He didn't look the happiest to come off, but I like that. He's probably the one going, no, the reason I came here because I wasn't getting a game. I want to be playing 90 minutes. But remember, he's coming off at the expense for our previously top scorer the last 2 years.
Plus, he lost his rag towards the end of the first half.
I don't mind that, though.
You don't mind it, but you mind it if he ends up then getting
it's sensible to take him out of it. Sensible to take him out of it. Of course it is. You don't want him to take that point of view, though. You don't want him to be going, oh, I totally agree with you, take me off. That's not what we're looking for either. But when you realise this, that you're coming off also to bring on the apple of the eye of the Celtic fans for the last 2 years. And I just thought there was a realisation at that point. Whether it's on Kyogo, whether it's on the manager, it's irrelevant. But it's just a match not made in heaven. What Rodgers' vision for what Celtic is, how the team's going to be best able to implement what Rodgers' message is, and Kyogo being your focal point of the team. He does not, I don't think, anywhere near as good as Kyogo technically. I don't think he's probably even got as good a football brain. But he suits the system far, far better. He's far, far more effective. And the other players around, like you were talking about earlier, when Ida's in the team, the dots are all getting joined a lot quicker as to what it is we're meant to be doing here, as opposed to when it's Kyogo, who's probably making harem-scarum runs that make a hell of a lot of sense in his mind and to anyone looking on, but not to what the actual tactics are of the team. And it's sad that that's the point right now. But Ida, for me, it's got to be him for the running, 100%. Tough decisions, but it's the best one to make.
Well, I mean, Kyogo's come on. He's had a good half hour. We're 6-0 up. Dundee have thrown the towel in. And he only really got one opportunity. And he should have scored. And he didn't. The keeper saved it. Just, with all those balls that were flying into the box in the first half, you would think that he's of a mindset coming on, there's goals in this for me. And there wasn't. Going back to being able to make the substitutions, I suppose if you want to be looking for negatives, and it's not something I want to do on a night like tonight, but could we have gone on and got more goals? Or is it more important that we got those players off, got them wrapped up in cotton wool? Carter Vickers, McGregor. I mean, when was the last time we were able to give McGregor some time off? 45 minutes less for him to play. Carter Vickers, 60 minutes. We didn't have to keep him on for the whole game. Does that benefit us come Sunday? I think it probably does. I mean, the league could come down to goal difference. It's unlikely, but it could come down to goal difference. But I'm not. I'm not overly disappointed. I think it was more important to get some of those guys off and save the legs for another
results
day.
Have to come first still in your mind, don't they? But again, I cast my mind back to the post-match show you did with Phil at the weekend, and Phil was talking about, I think it was Martin O'Neill's last season,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a goal conceded at home. Do you remember that? And he went, he just left it. I thought, see tonight, because it was fresh in the memory of that comment, I thought, oh, fuck off, Phil. You better not be right with it.
I know.
You know what I say?
There is just a niggling, with it being so close.
I hear you.
Just a niggling doubt, and that goal, which the Dundee player actually took very well, but defensively it wasn't a good goal to concede.
What about the goal though for Kelly? On a positive note, I know I've ran over half an hour, Terry. So, but what a moment! Joe, I loved about it. Roger's reaction. The camera pans to him, and he turns around, and he does the like that, and I think there is a real, like, for all his faults this season, he's got loads of them. I do think his genuine pride in management is when he's bringing players through, developing them and making them better. It's, it's easy for him then to just turn and go, I need quality at the same time. Brilliant debate. But I think his real pride is, took a chance there, and look how the boys grabbed it. You could see it was just a natural reaction, what he's done. And but the finish itself, let's forget about Brendan for a second. That's top drawer, mate. And I think I read what someone had tweeted. At the moment the ball hit the back of the net, Bernabe told the wife to look for his passport.
That was an excellent finish. I'd gone off to do stuff at halftime, so I didn't actually realise we'd made the change until about 10 minutes into the second half, when I was looking to see where McGregor was and realised that he wasn't on. Probably telling as well, Bhoycie, we had 5 subs, we were 6-0 up at half time, and he chose to bring that lad on for McGregor as opposed to giving Vata a run out, because Vata was on the bench tonight as well, and that would have been a great opportunity to give him more game time, but he's decided
January was the Vata's January. We survived that test. He's been put back in his place. That's what I honestly think. He got given the token few minutes. He got offered loads of opportunity here.
Yeah.
Got to the 1st of February, Brendan's like, you can shut up now. Do you know what I mean? You'll get a chance when I decide. You've just been played. That's what I honestly think happened. They like to play out all this stuff in the media with agents and that, and I think Brendan's played him on the park. And I thought I was very good, by the way. So we wake-up call when you're 18. Stop mouthing off as if you're like, the second coming, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like, calm right down. You're looking back going, who's his dad? Sorry, that played for Celtic. Rudy Vata. Oh, fuck. Sorry. Yeah, I forgot how good he was as well. It's like,
it sets it up. A couple of weeks ago, I know I definitely was despondent. I was close.
We all have been.
I didn't see any way that we could turn this round, just because the evidence wasn't there. And I'll be honest, I still, in terms of the critique of Ida, based on what I'd seen at that time, I still think I was right. He hadn't done anything. It's this last game and a half where he's actually shown us the qualities that he does have. But it sets it up really nice for Sunday. Tynecastle, Hearts is always one that I really, really look forward to. And just after tonight, after getting that performance, it sets it up nicely. Are we definitely going to continue the momentum? Absolutely not. There's no way we can predict that this season. But I'd rather go into that game off a performance like we've had tonight, as opposed to the performance that we had at home to Killie or Motherwell or any of those games. It really, really sets it up. It's 10 games. We win the 10, we definitely win the title. Tynecastle is probably
10.
It's probably.
Did you say that if we win the 10, we definitely win the
games? We win the 10.
Terry?
We win the 10, we definitely win the title. Tynecastle's probably going to be the second hardest of those games, to be honest.
Bring it on.
So let's get that one out of the way.
Bring it on, though, mate. You look scared tonight, Terry. You still look like, to me, I'm like, fucking enjoy these moments, man. I'm
enjoying it. I just...
you know my WhatsApp message in the group chat yesterday. If you were the first one to laugh at it. I said, if we win this, and it's I even said in brackets, unlikely. Do you remember? And I said, if we do, this whole thing now, after the good girl bollocks, not knowing that we've now won 7-1, after as became all about Brendan, I went, will be rewritten as the year Brendan won the league on his own. When the fans didn't want him there, the board wouldn't back him.
But there's
The
something
players
about
didn't like his tactics. It'll be rewritten as the year Brendan won the league on his own. And I'll fucking write it.
but there is something about it. Given how mad this season has been, the actual maddest outcome now would be that we actually win it, and it probably, for me anyway, it would mean so much more than some of those ones that we won where there was very little challenge.
It's too good, mate, though.
You know what I mean?
It's like it's
can you
set
imagine
up for this guy.
Can you imagine we're sitting here on Flag Day and all the stick that you and me have taken on these shows where we've had record audiences from other teams. Can you imagine if we're sitting here at the end of the season and we're champions? I don't want to get too excited. Mate, if we play the way we did tonight in those 10 games, we will be champions.
Yeah, it is definitely turned in, whether you like it or not. We've set this up. We've written the script for Brendan now to do it, though. We've said, like everyone said, every supporter said, the board don't want him there. Everyone said, well, they shouldn't have came back. The fans don't want him there. Everyone said the players think his tactics are shite. Everyone said the other managers hit the ground running. Brendan's sitting going, so if I win it, probably the greatest individual title. But
also you and me could be sitting here like two dicks on Sunday afternoon after getting
I know, mate. No, I'm just saying hypothetically. I'll be consistent in my argument. I think we will be up and down in the title race. That's why I never wrote it off either, though, Terry. That's why I couldn't understand the argument. I said there is no point in saying they've won it now. It's just stupid. Like, to me, there will be peaks and troughs.
You couldn't see there was nothing giving you hope other than the hope that you had yourself. Whereas that performance tonight gives you hope that ability is in there. Yeah, there's a bit of belief. But when we had lost an advantage that I thought should have been enough to get the job done, and the performances were so poor. And let's put a caveat here. The first half 3 days ago was the poorest of the poor. That first half at Fir Park was absolutely dreadful, worse than any of the awful ones that we've already had. But that second half on Sunday and that performance tonight gives a little bit of belief.
Because it's a continuation, you said, eh?
It's a continuation, but we've got to continue with Sunday. We've got to continue it for the next 2.5 months.
But 135 minutes in a row of consistent good football is a start. It's nearly March. We've started early this season to find a consistent form. Anyway, we'll call it there. 7-1 Celtic. A brilliant night, in my opinion. I think, forget what happened at Rugby Park. They had their scares. They've had their moments. They'll say they've dug in. But at Celtic, we started playing our hand. And we started showing why never, ever think a title race is done when there's only 2 points in it. And there's a guy there that tends to win titles. And there's a Celtic team there, a club that tends to win titles. See when it's a snip and tuck, never go too early. Keep your eyes on the title.